Imagine stepping into a place where history isn't just, locked away in museums. It's like it's etched into every colorful building and literally beneath your feet on these amazing blue cobblestone
Yeah.
streets. A place just bursting with life, flavor, and stories around, well, every corner.
Sounds like we're about to explore somewhere truly captivating,
Yeah,
somewhere really special.
we absolutely are. Today, we're doing a deep dive into Old San Juan, Puerto Rico. Think of this as your essential travel guide, sort of distilled from a stack of sources we've pulled together for you.
Okay.
We've got a couple of really good travel articles and also a super practical Reddit thread from fellow travelers, people who've been there.
Right. So our mission here is basically to unpack all this stuff,
Hmm.
pull out the most valuable nuggets of information
Exactly.
and help you feel completely well informed and, ready to experience this vibrant historic city, whether you're actually planning a trip or maybe just curious to explore it from afar.
Okay, let's unpack what these sources tell us. So first up, just getting your bearings. Old San Juan, or Viejo San Juan as it's called.
Hmm.
It's this incredible historic core sitting on a small, narrow island right off Puerto Rico's north coast.
And it's got serious historical weight behind it. I mean, our sources remind us it was founded by Juan Ponce de Leon way
Hmm.
back in 1508.
Wow, 1508.
Yeah, making it the oldest city in the United States and its territories.
Yeah.
When you're there, you are quite literally walking on centuries of layered history. It's amazing.
And what's really great, and what our sources really emphasize for anyone visiting, is how compact it is and walkable.
Totally.
We're like just about, 17 square blocks for the main historic area.
Exactly. It's really manageable. This isn't a place you need a car within the historic part. Exploring on foot is absolutely the way to go. That's what everyone says.
Right.
That's how you'll truly soak in the atmosphere, discover that stunningly colorful architecture you see on every block, and find those little tucked away plazas and things.
And you absolutely have to look down sometimes. The streets are paved with these really distinctive blue cobblestones.
Yeah, the Attic Queens. And they weren't just a local choice. They were actually brought over from Spain. They used them as ballast in the ships.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they started laying them for streets back in 1784. And while a lot have been replaced over the years, the sources note you can still spot some of the originals here and there, like actual history under your feet.
Which brings up a really crucial practical tip highlighted in the travel guides.
Comfortable shoes.
Comfortable shoes, non-negotiable. Those cobblestones are beautiful, but they are uneven.
Absolutely. Your feet will thank you.
Yeah.
And stay hydrated. That's another big one. Puerto Rico's climate, gets warm, humid,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be doing a lot of walking, often uphill and downhill on those streets.
Good point. The sources do mention cars, taxis, buses for getting to Old San Juan, maybe from the airport or whatever.
Right.
But they really reinforce that once you're inside those 17 blocks, ditch the wheels. Walking is key.
Okay, so once you're ready to hit the pavement in your comfy shoes,
Yeah.
you're stepping directly into the historical layers of the city. And the most imposing structures, you got to start with the forts.
Oh, yeah. Castillo San Felipe del Morro. Everyone just calls it El Morro and Castillo San Cristobal. They're absolute must-sees, according to all the guides.
They're UNESCO World Heritage Sites.
Yeah.
And for good reason. They were built by the Spanish, for defense. El Morro dates way back to 1589.
Wow.
Yeah, it was designed to guard the harbor entrance from attacks by sea. Then San Cristobal, started later, 1765, was built more to protect against land invasions. It really shows you how important the city was strategically for centuries.
And the views from El Morro apparently are just spectacular.
Oh, unbelievable, yeah.
Both forts sound like fantastic places to spend some time, learn about the city's long military history, its colonial past. The travel articles suggest maybe booking tickets in advance, especially for the forts if you're visiting during peak season.
That's probably smart. And what's fascinating, a unique tip from that Reddit thread.
Oh.
There's a specific tour option you can sometimes get at San Cristobal that takes you into one of the dungeons.
Okay.
And there's this painting of a ship on the wall.
Yeah.
The story goes it was done in almost total darkness by a prisoner. It just adds this really human kind of haunting layer to all that stone.
Wow, that's the kind of detail you could easily miss otherwise. So beyond the forts, the historic walls themselves are a big part of the experience too, right? You can enter the old walled city through the really iconic Puerta de San Juan.
The main gate from 1635.
Yeah, and it's impressive, 16 feet tall and 20 feet thick or something.
It is massive. Walking through it really feels like you're crossing a threshold back in time. It's quite a moment.
And there are these beautiful walks right along the walls. The Paseo del Morro runs along the bay, right at the base of El Morro's walls.
Ah, yes. And this is famously home to the city's cat metropolis, they call it.
Uh-huh, yeah.
A well-known colony of cats living among the rocks and mangroves. The Reddit thread also mentions seeing iguanas there, too, so keep an eye out for wildlife.
Okay, cats and iguanas. And then there's the Paseo de la Princesa. That sounds lovely. A promenade often lined with vendors, sculptures, great harbor views.
Right, and it connects nicely, leading toward or away from the Puerto de San Juan. Makes for a really pleasant stroll.
The city's history is also, of course, deeply rooted in its churches. The San Juan Bautista Cathedral is highlighted. It's the oldest church on U.S. soil.
That's right, and it's free to enter, which is nice. Then there's Iglesia San Jose, described as one of the oldest churches still standing in the New World, and the smaller Capilla Santa Cristo de la Salud. Lots of history there.
So as you wander, certain streets really stand out in the descriptions. Calle Fortaleza seems to be the most famous one.
Yeah, definitely. It's known for those gorgeous pastel-colored buildings, and it leads right up to the governor's mansion, La Fortaleza.
Ah, La Fortaleza. That's a significant historical building itself, isn't it? Originally 16th century, then remodeled.
Exactly. Built in the 1500s, redone in the 1800s. It's still the official residence of the governor. And, as one guide points out, a very popular spot for photos.
Yeah.
Often has those colorful umbrellas or decorations hanging overhead.
Right, you see those pictures everywhere. And for that other iconic photo op, you need to find Calle San Jose for the big, vibrant Puerto Rico flag mural painted on a building.
Yep, another must-snap photo. The Plaza de Armas is mentioned, too, as the original main town square.
Okay.
Surrounded by important buildings like the town hall, has a central fountain. Sounds like a perfect spot for just, people watching, soaking it in, admiring the architecture around it. Like the Antiguo Casino, Casa de España, Teatro Tapia, one traveler mentioned, seeing those nearby.
Good place to take a break. Now, if you want a deeper dive into the cultural history, the Museo de las Americas sounds like a great option. It's inside that impressive historic Cuartel de Bellahá building.
Yeah, the old barracks. It covers a range of fascinating permanent exhibitions. Popular arts, African heritage, indigenous history, and the whole conquest and colonization period.
Sounds comprehensive.
It does. And the admission fee is pretty modest, like $6, maybe $4 for kids. Makes it a great indoor activity, especially maybe if you get a rainy afternoon.
Good tip. And for a glimpse into even earlier times, there's Casablanca. This was the house built for Juan Ponce de Leon's family.
That's the one. It's actually older than the forts themselves.
Wow.
The gardens around it are free to explore, and you can pay a small fee, maybe $5 to $7 or so, to go inside the house museum itself.
Okay, interesting. Now, that Reddit thread you mentioned, it offered some particularly practical tips for, like, a self-guided walking tour.
It did, yeah. Like suggesting a starting point at the Plaza del Quinto Centenario, which is also called the Totem Plaza.
The Totem Plaza.
Yeah.
And that plaza has something interesting, a telluric totem.
Right. Our sources explain this as this large sculpture made from soil gathered from countries all throughout the Americas. It's meant to symbolize their sort of interconnected history. Pretty cool concept.
Yeah, it is. What else did the thread suggest?
Well, it listed some specific, maybe slightly more offbeat stops for a potential route.
Yeah.
Like El Abadi, described as a classic dive bar, known for its graffiti everywhere.
Okay.
Apparently, the Rolling Stones even visited back in the day. That's the story. Also, the La Rogativa sculpture, which is tied to a local legend about a religious procession somehow saving the city. A miracle.
Huh.
La Casa Estrecha, which literally means the narrow house. Apparently, it's incredibly skinny. And La Fortaleza, which the Reddit user called Puerto Rico's version of the White House.
Gotcha. Lots of little hidden things to find.
Definitely encourages exploring.
Oh, and
A really important safety tip from that thread. Avoid the area known as La Perla. It's just outside the main tourist area walls, and generally advise not to wander in there.
okay, good to know. Right. After soaking up all that history, wandering those streets, you are definitely going to be ready for some food and drink.
Oh, absolutely. And our sources make it very clear. Old San Juan is a top-tier foodie destination. Seriously. One even put it in the same league as places like Greece for culinary richness.
High praise. And the foundation of traditional Puerto Rican cuisine is this fantastic blend, isn't it? Taíno, African, and Spanish culinary traditions all mixed together.
Exactly, creating these really unique
Yeah.
and often very comforting flavors. And the one dish mentioned again and again, like the absolute must-try.
It's Gotta be mofongo.
Mofongo,
Yeah.
yes. Fried and mashed plantains, often served in a kind of bowl or mound, usually with your choice of protein like shrimp or chicken or pork. It's basically Puerto Rican comfort food. You'll see fried plantains, tostones, amarillos all over the place, too.
Mm-hmm. Delicious. And then there's the famous pina colada.
Ah, yes. The Barquina restaurant makes a pretty bold claim to being its birthplace back in 1963.
So naturally, our guide suggests, well, you gotta try one right there, don't you?
You kind of have to. They do note it can get busy, so maybe just hitting the bar might be quicker than getting a table for a full meal if you just want the drink experience.
Good tip. Now, looking at specific restaurant recommendations from the sources is a really great variety. For that really authentic traditional food, the kind locals talk about, like abuelitas cooking,
Yeah.
El Jibarito comes highly recommended.
Okay. El Jibarito, what did they suggest there?
Specific dishes mentioned were the bolitas de queso appetizer,
Mhm.
basically fried cheese balls, can't go wrong,
Sounds good.
and the bistec encebollado, which is like a savory cube steak with onions, served traditionally with rice and beans. They also mention sancocho, which is a really hearty national soup. And of course, they serve piña coladas and flan for dessert. Classic stuff.
Nice. Puerto Criollo is another spot mentioned for traditional food. Described as very colorful, and it's located right on that pedestrian-only bit of Calle Tetuan.
Oh, right on the walking street?
Yeah. The sources note its prime location might mean slightly higher prices, maybe, but they praise its strong drinks, including piña coladas, naturally,
Of course.
and classic dishes like shrimp mofongo, skirt steak, ceviche, and ropa vieja.
Yeah. Cayo Caribe is highlighted too. Sounds like a lively, casual local favorite, particularly famous for its seafood and, again, mofongo.
Seems like mofongo is everywhere. Recommendations there included their mofongo, obviously, but also paella, fresh grilled fish, and seafood tacos. They do cocktails, too. Oh, and La Jibarita was another name drop for mofongo.
Okay, good options for the classics. Now, shifting gears a bit, some unique concepts. Choco Bar Cortez sounds like heaven if you're a chocolate lover.
Oh, tell me more.
It's completely chocolate obsessed. History dating back to 1929, they even do farm to bar chocolate. They serve incredibly creative things like, get this, a chocolate grilled cheese sandwich
Wow, okay, that's unique.
and a chocolate old-fashioned cocktail.
Right.
But they also have, normal food, non-chocolate options too if someone in your group isn't as obsessed. Lava cake, of course.
Good to know. Then there's La Madre, which offers Mexican food but with a Puerto Rican flair. Known for creative tacos, really colorful decor, and apparently an extensive list of margaritas, mezcals, and tequilas.
Sounds fun. And for something maybe quicker, more casual, Don Taco offers street food vibes.
Okay.
Tasty options like al pastor tacos, quesadillas, fundidos, and taco nachos. Sounds like a fun, laid-back kind of place.
Perfect for a quicker bite. And for refreshing breaks, Bien Papayas is loved for its smoothies. Friendly atmosphere, sounds perfect for a stop before or after visiting a fort or doing some heavy sightseeing.
Definitely need those cool down spots. And speaking of cooling down, dessert places are key on a hot day. Anita Gelato gets super high praise.
Oh yeah.
Handmade flavors, sources raving about it, like milk chocolate pretzels, rasha cream. Sounds amazing. One source said it's practically a meal in itself.
Okay, noted. And Senor Paleta for gourmet popsicles.
Exactly. Perfect for cooling down. Expect lines on those really hot afternoons, the guides warn, but probably worth the wait.
Sounds like it. Moving on to drinks and bars, specifically beyond Berachina, La Casita de Rons near the marina is recommended.
La Casita de Rons, House of Rums.
Pretty much. It's got great views and, as the name suggests, an extensive menu of rum drinks. They also get a shout out for their pork dishes, things like tacos, sliders, fried pork with tostones. Just got a note, it can get crowded when cruise ships are in port.
Makes sense. And Calle San Sebastian is marked out as the street for bar hopping, right?
That's the one. Home to famous spots like La Factoria, which has multiple rooms with different vibes. Other bars mentioned for drinks include La Taberna de Lupulo for beer, maybe,
Okay.
and La Vergüenza, which supposedly has more of a local, younger crowd vibe and offers good views from its roof deck.
Nice. Now, the Reddit thread also contributed a few more gems on the food front, didn't it?
It did. La Mallorquina and Cafeteria Mallorca were mentioned for pastries, with a specific recommendation to try a ham, egg, and cheese sandwich served on a Mallorca bread.
What's a Mallorca bread?
It's a local sweet roll, usually dusted with powdered sugar. Sounds like a great breakfast or snack.
Definitely. Cafe Cuatro Sombras was praised for amazing local coffee.
Good coffee is crucial. And Pirlo Pizza Rustico was even called the best pizza in town, or maybe even on the whole island, by one user.
High praise for pizza. And Lottie's was suggested for the best seafood with an ocean view.
Lots of great tips there, and a really specific avoid note, too, from that Reddit thread.
Right. Vaca Brava was called out specifically as a tourist trap with apparently disappointing food.
That's exactly the kind of candid insider tip you hope for from fellow travelers. Super useful.
It really is. Taking a guided food tour was also suggested in the articles. Sounds like a great way to sample a lot of these flavors with a local expert, kind of guiding you through it all.
Yeah, that could be a really efficient way to taste a lot. One last practical note from the travel articles, though. While many local places have Google listings for hours and menus,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the smaller, maybe more traditional spots don't have dedicated websites. And the info online isn't always 100% up to date. So, a little flexibility might be needed. Check ahead if you can. But be prepared. Things might change.
Good practical advice. Now, while Old San Juan itself is obviously incredibly rich and packed with things to do,
You could spend days just there.
easily. But our sources also briefly touch on how it makes a really great base for exploring nearby parts of Puerto Rico, maybe as day trips.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If you have more time, you could head out to the stunning beaches on Isla Culebra, like the world-famous Playa Flamenco,
I've heard of that one.
or to Isla Viex, which is known for its bioluminescent bay, that glowing water phenomenon, and really quiet, beautiful beaches.
Wow. Closer options include Luquillo. That has a beautiful beach too, right?
Yeah.
And the famous kiosks.
Yes, the Luquillo kiosks are like this long strip of dozens of open-air restaurants and bars right by the water. Very popular spot. And of course, you can visit El Yunque Rainforest.
The only tropical rainforest in the U.S. National Forest System.
That's the one. Guided tours are highly recommended there, apparently, to really get the most out of it and navigate the trails safely.
Makes sense. And for a taste of a deserted island, Cayo Iacacos is mentioned for boat trips. Snorkeling, beautiful, undeveloped beaches.
Sounds like paradise.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of possibilities if you use Old San Juan as your home base.
Okay, so to sort of wrap up this deep dive, pulling together everything from our stack of sources, Old San Juan really emerges as this incredibly historically rich, beautifully preserved, and crucially, eminently walkable city.
Absolutely. It's packed with fascinating sights, from those towering colonial forts and defensive walls to the charming, colorful streets, historic churches, and those iconic photo spots we talked about.
And as we saw from all those recommendations, it's definitely a top-tier culinary destination. It's got that unique blended cuisine, specific places offering everything from the essential mofongo and comfort food to really unique chocolate creations, great coffee, and lively bars for rum cocktails. Something for everyone, really.
For sure. So, armed with this deep dive, drawing on insights from both professional travel guides and fellow travelers on Reddit,
Yeah.
you, the listener, now have a really solid foundation.
Yeah.
You can feel well-informed. You can kind of visualize the layout, maybe prioritize the sites that resonate most with you, know what delicious food and drinks to seek out, and just navigate the city with a real sense of confidence and context.
This really was intended as a shortcut,
Yeah.
to grasp the essence of this incredible destination without feeling totally overwhelmed by just the sheer volume of information out there.
Yeah, there's a lot. And thinking of everything we've explored today, that deep history tied to Spain, the centuries of defense against sea and land, the vibrant Caribbean setting,
Right.
and that real melting pot of Taino, African, and Spanish influences that you see in the architecture, the culture, and especially, I think, in the food.
It really makes you consider its unique identity, doesn't it?
It really does. So here's maybe a final thought for you to chew on, something to ponder.
Given this incredible blend of history, geography, and these cultural traditions from multiple continents, does Old San Juan ultimately feel more like, say, a European city that's been transplanted to the tropics?
Yeah.
Or a distinct Caribbean island capital? Or is it just something entirely its own, something unique?
That's a great question. Something to definitely ponder as you picture yourself walking those centuries-old blue cobblestone streets.